Hey guys, this is your host Adi and welcome back to Comic Space, and today we have quite a major update with what Marvel Studios is planning for the future. And as it looks like the band is just not back together for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, which meaning Kevin Feige, Russo Brothers and Stephen McFeely, that creative group is just not back for the upcoming two Avengers film, but they're actually going to be sticking around for quite some time, because as it looks like Marvel Studios and Russo Brothers are planning a lot of stuff well into the Mutant Saga. So that is quite a major update to talk about with what Marvel Studios is planning with the Mutant Saga. With their XMen reboot already been in the works, they have started casting for some of the roles even. So this major update is coming from Daniel Rickman, and again, if you have been following our channel or have been part of the rumor mill, you know that we like to give him a lot more reverence than any other source, as he also having quite an impeccable track record when it comes to all of his scoops. So as he went on to state, the Russos aren't working from the MCU after the end of the Multiverse Saga. Instead, they already signed a deal for the next saga, including Marvel's X-Men Reboot. So, of course, this is quite a major update with Russos and Marvel are still going to be working moving forward. So I think that creative group of Russo Brothers, Stephen McFeely and Christopher Marcus, all of those guys and Kevin Feige, that group is of course going to be quite an integral part of the Mutant Saga moving forward. But they're just going to be overseeing it. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be coming back as a director duo to helm any of these projects. I think what you're talking about in much of a producer role, or of course as an oversee of all of those projects, and especially when you're talking about the projects of the caliber of Marvel's X-Men Reboot. And by the way, we are going to be heading into Marvel's X-Men Reboot right away after Secret Wars. They are in the writing process of the X-Men Reboot, and I think they have made quite great progress on that front. They have started casting for some of the roles even, which I believe by the end of 26 or even in the early months, they can be heading into the production of their X-Men Reboot, because we have been hearing a lot of stuff about their X-Men Reboot and they've been developing it for quite some time now. So Russo Brothers are for sure are going to be helming the both of the Avengers film and overseeing all of the additional projects such as Marvel's X-Men Reboot. So I think even if they have went on to sign in major official deal, which I believe it is probably going to be including X-Men Reboot or then of that kind of scale, or in film that we just talked about, and that being Avengers vs X-Men. When it comes to the Phoenix Saga, if Marvel Studios decide to revert back to that, the Apocalypse storyline, if Marvel Studios can move forward with that, because the Mutant Saga is going to be all over the place. When we are finished with Secret Wars, there is already going to be, and Marvel Studios is going to be heading into full gear with mutant centric storyline, with X-Men centric storylines. And when it comes to this large scale projects such as X-Men Reboot, which is going to be a major film just as of in level of an Avengers film, because given the scale and how many things that goes into the production, which again I don't think so no one has so much experience in doing that kind of films when it comes to the scale and the scope and how many things that goes into it when you have so many characters to handle, and the culmination that you have to provide when the whole saga is going to be closing on. So by the end of the Multiverse Saga, we'll have directed 4 Avengers films, and the scale of all of the 4 is going to be insane, because Secret Wars is going to be far more, maybe 10 times bigger than what we have seen with Infinite War Endgame. For sure it is going to be insane with so many things going on, and you also have to pay a lot of these storylines that you have set up, and also have to handle all of these characters and so many things going on, but also sticking true to the core of the stories. So again, it is not going to be like they are going to be part of every single X-Men or mutant centric project moving forward. That is not going to be that, but some of these major films. And again, I think there's going to be so many things after when we are done with Secret Wars, the aftermath of Secret Wars. There's a quite possibility we are going to have a lot of these variants coming into the 616. Of course Fantastic Four, of course X-Men, but a lot of these characters that might also get recast. And it also looks like Marvel Studios is also going to be heading into a soft reboot after Secret Wars. It is going to be quite a while before we get any Avengers level type of project, except the X-Men Reboot, which is just going to be right around the corner, and it is going to be an insane one. But after Marvel Studios is done with that major introduction of the X-Men into 616, it is going to be quite wild. It is going to be a lot of storytelling and a lot of character development before you head into an event like Avengers vs X-Men that we just recently talked about. Marvel Studios has been in quite methodical and a very thought out process, because they had the X-Men for quite a while. And by the time we actually head into a full-fledged Marvel Studios X-Men film, if that film comes out by 28, it will be about a decade. since Marvel Studios got the rights to the X-Men, which again I think by that point they already had developed a lot of the multiverse saga and what that would have looked like. So again, most of the multiverse saga, Marvel Studios did left out X-Men because they didn't know how it was actually going to be panned out, and they already had planned a lot of that stuff. So when we got to it, we of course got Deadpool and Wolverine. Throughout the multiverse saga, I think that is going to be the only one major and X-Men centric story that we are going to be seeing. Because of course we got Storm in the What If season 3, which again I think they would have integrated all of those X-Men's characters early on in the seasons as well, but they just didn't know how it was going to go. But of course I think that is going to be the only major theatrical project that we are going to be getting throughout the multiverse saga, and that being Deadpool and Wolverine. And after that it is pretty much all of the cameos and appearances, special guests, all of those actors coming back to reprise their iconic roles, and all of our established and 616 characters are going to be taking center stage. And it does makes a lot of sense that Marvel Studios is gonna pay off all of those storylines that they set up within the multiverse saga and with the 616 characters. And I think the way that things are shaping up, that saga is just going to be quite an insane one. I think they are probably going to be overdo themselves with overshadowing the Infinity Saga and the Multiverse Saga, which is again setting the bar very high. But again, I think a lot of the interesting things that they are planning with, of course, the X-Men reboot is going to be right around the corner, of Secret Wars. So again, they are going to be coming off this very major event and then heading into this introduction, which is also going to be in quite a major project, which is again, it is going to be quite while before we get to Marvel Studios X-Men. But again, when we get to it, it is going to be an insane one. Again, I think it is time for me to see you guys off on this one. I'm so glad that you guys got the time to hear me out. Thanks for listening to me. This is your host Adi signing off. See you in the next one.